Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing great. So in the last video, we clearly explained how K-means clustering works for customer segmentation, and this time we're going hands-on and implementing it in Python. And let's see how we can group customers based on their spending habits and visit frequency. And we're all doing this in just a few lines of code. All right, so first things first, let's rename our file into K-means clustering, and let's move to importing our data set. For that, we need our pandas library, and so our data is customer segmentation.csv, and let's sample it. Okay, so this is just like I'm reshuffling the data. Okay, so let's see the top 5 rows. Okay, so if you remember, the dataset contains two key parameters for each customer. The first parameter is total spending, and the second key parameter that we have collected is visit frequency. So this customer 21, spends $291 in 87 visits. And remember, these visits are per annum, all right? So this is the data set, and then a little about the data set. So I asked ChatGPT to just create a simple and straightforward data having two features for each customer, and then ChatGPT gave me an amazing data set with 100 rows, which is fairly simple to implement in this video. And before we move directly to K-means clustering, we will visualize our dataset using scatterplot. And if you realized, we just have two features. All right. So in this case, visualizing our dataset using a scatterplot will be a very super simple way. So let's do that. For that, I need matplotlib. And so let's create an figure. Eight by 6, and let's put the scatter plot. So it's here. Let me just copy column names, and the next one is visit frequency, and let's color it to blue. No, I did a mistake here. And then we need to have labels too. So X level is total spending. Let me just copy this. And then let me just copy. This is Y level, and Y level is visit frequency. And we want to put a title as well. Segmentation scatter plot. So here is the scatter plot. As you can see, there's already a rough pattern, but let's make it official with K-means clustering. Okay. So just a little background, K-means clustering is an unsupervised learning algorithm that's mostly used to group data into K clusters based on similarity. And in scikit-learn, it's implemented in the K-means class from sklearn.cluster module. So let's import it. K-means, and then let's initialize a K-means object, which is also a model in this case. And we have several parameters of the class which we want to set if we want more control, right? So we have this one very important parameter, which are the number of clusters, that is K in K-means clustering. So right now we are giving it 3 because we are trying to group our customers into 3 categories. And we also have another parameter which is n init, Let's keep it 10. I think 10 is the default value it keeps, even if we don't give any value to this parameter, right? So this is the number of times k-means run with different initial centroids, all right? And we have another parameter, maximum iteration, which in this case will put 300. So this means that this is the maximum number of iterations that we do when we settle down on the centroids. And there is another parameter which is tolerance, and let's keep it 10 power minus 4. So if you remember last time when we were discussing like how we find the centroids, then it says that every time centroids move, right? So once the centroids move less than 10 power minus 4, then we stop. So that's the tolerance that we're giving it to the model. And finally, we have random state to reproduce our results, right? So let's run this. All right, so with this, we initialized our k-means model. Now the next step is to fit the model with our data, right? So let's do that. So let's call the fit method of k-means class. And so let's give the total spending. I should have copied with the, and then we have another visit frequency. All right. So, okay, so now we have fitted our model, so you can see. And then the next is to, so let me say a little bit about what exactly happens when we fit the model, right? So when we call the fit method, then it computes clusters for our data set and it adjusts centroids iteratively until the convergence hits. Okay. So finally, now we are predicting the labels for our data set, right? So for that, let's add one column to our data set, which is cluster, and then the cluster contains the labels for our customers. And then this is predict. We'll call it predict because we've already fitted our model. And here, let's copy this. I think this is easier. So if we see our 5 rows, okay, so you can see here that these customers are labeled into cluster 2. So after seeing this data frame, now we know that each row has been assigned to a cluster. And before we move ahead and see clusters, cluster centroids in color format, we will print some key attributes of our k-means model. And one of the key attributes is cluster centroids. So let's print that. Let's print it. Centers. Okay, so we have three cluster centroids because we have selected k equals 3. Okay, and let's also print the labels. Labels. So yeah, we have these labels 0, 1, and 2. And lastly, let's print the number of iterations required. Iterations required to find the cluster centers. And okay. Okay, so number of iterations required is this 5 because I think the data is so straightforward that we didn't need more than 5 iterations to find the cluster centroids. Okay, so after all this, now it's time that we visualize our cluster centroids in some colored format. All right, so for that, let's import Cburn as they give us pretty plots, and let's also create one list for the colors. I'm creating this list because I want to assign each cluster one color. So let's assign 3 colors: red, yellow, and maybe blue. Okay, let's do it blue. Okay, so and then we will also initialize the figure size 8,6, and let's call the scatter plot function. Data is df and x is. Let me just copy it so that I don't make any stupid mistake. And y equals the other column, which is visit frequency. All right, so we have another parameter where we give cluster and assign the palette. Innocent also we want to give, right? Which is full. Okay, let me see if I did any mistake here. So we initialize the figure size and then we invoke this function, scatter plot, data df. This is u cluster palette less than full. Okay, so let's see it. All right, so we have three clusters. The first cluster is red, second one is assigned yellow, and the third one is assigned blue. You know what? Let me just change it to green because it's kind of hard to see. Okay, this is better. Okay, so now we plotted our data set, but now we also want to plot centroids. And to plot our centroids, let's create one variable centroids and then assign the centroids from our model. Okay, and then we will plot our centroids on top of our scatter plot. And for that, let's call the scatter method and let's give centroids x parameter, which is 0, and centroids y values this, and let's put a marker as well so that it's easily distinguishable. Let's color it to black and let's give it a label. Sorry, I almost got this mistake. Label equals centroids. Okay, so let me just copy this from the previous graph. That's why we need a function, you know. If we have function, then it's very easy to just call a function and not retype everything. Corresponding visit. Now the title is different. This is no more a scatter plot. This is now K-means clustering. Customers. And we're missing one line. Okay, so we call this. Alright, let's see. Oh, okay. I have to call this here. So this is our sort of final plot where we see our cluster centers in black color. And these are basically the points that we just printed in X and Y format, right here. So you can see that we have three clusters and three cluster centroids. So with this, we are now ready to predict a new customer and a new customer's cluster, right? So let's do that now. Let's go ahead and create one new customer with new customer variable name, and let's assign total spending as $200 in maybe 10 visits. I'm pretty sure we haven't imported NumPy, so let's do that. All right, so what if we migrate this code in here and see the new customer in the plot itself? So let's add one plot for new customer. marker. Let's give a different marker. Let's give O marker. And color, let's give purple this thing. And label is as usual, new customer. All right, so let's run and see. So we can see we have our new customer colored in purple in here, and we have three clusters in blue, in red, and in green. So now our next task is to find in which cluster this new customer falls. So let's go ahead and do it. All right. So for that, new target equals key means dot predict. Um, what is, oh, it's a new customer, and print new target. So we can see our new target is 2. So it gives the target as 2. So if we see this graph, so 2 is the blue cluster, right? So apparently the new customer falls into the blue cluster. Just looking at the clusters, blue cluster seems to be the group of customers who visit stores often, but then every time they spend less. And similarly, I can see that the red cluster is like moderate buyers, and then green ones are the ones who go to store like rarely, but then when they go, they just shop big. So there you have it. We successfully implemented k-means clustering for customer segmentation, and even we classified a new customer into the correct group. So that's it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.